it's really great to follow Steve and Sue because some of the things which I maybe didn't have time to get into, hope they've defined and introduced, and hopefully I can add something to that. So I want to talk about this idea of kind of everyday radicalism, and from a sense of how those ideas, how we get more people taking action, because I think that is part of it. So how the things which Steve and Sue talked about needing to be radical and needing to kind of make people take sides and push that. How it doesn't just have to be a core of organisers, but how when we put those messages out and we do take those fights, it actually resonates with people and they think, oh, I'm part of this too. I want to get on board this kind of radical vision for change. So really briefly about my background, grew up in Auckland and I moved from studying ecology through lots of different things into psych, and now I'm not kind of sure what. I guess I'm being putting more time into some activism and just seeing what comes. My background throughout all of that was kind of community projects initially. I started when I was 17 with kind of going, realizing, oh, I don't have any passions, and then I said, oh, my passion is saving the world, and I didn't kind of know about white savior complexes and things there then, but like it was enough to start. I guess this is part of the thing, how do we get people in to taking change? It's just to start looking for opportunities to do things where it felt necessary and at that base level feeling that we needed some kind of radical change. So that was kind of community bike projects, community gardening, education things, and always being involved with protest movements, some kind of land supporting stuff in the UK, and then this year we'll get involved with Shasta Tech's Real Choice Crew, and recently kind of doing a lot of organising around the blockade, so seeing people kind of get moved to that. And yeah, I'm on my spiritual path as well, but try not to let it be the one way to change. So my theory of change is that if we find a radical in everyday and can speak to that, the radical potential in people's everyday, then that will inspire them to be part of the movement of radical change. So radical was, I think, really nicely talked about by Sue, and I guess I'm going to go into the theory of change and saying why I think that, by just taking out parts of what I think is radical and what's everyday, and how that maybe comes together into something which could draw people into change movements. So I'd say that radical is a commitment to something quite different from status quo. So I guess, is it cool to say what we have now isn't working, it's broken, and part of that is maybe facing as well things like, hey, actually, we can't stop climate change. Like, we have to accept as a reality that climate change is happening. So if we're constantly trying to think, oh, we'll make it a bit better with these market solutions, whatever, then we're not actually facing the fact that the way things are now, it doesn't quite follow that, it's saying it's not quite different to status quo. Basically, it's saying that how things are now can't change, and I won't accept them as interesting. Okay, so the radical is visionary. I'll move on from that. So I think because they're saying like capitalism is oppressive, we can't continue in any form, or you know, we have to decolonize if we're actually going to honour society. We have to say we need to stop consuming as much and live simply. Like, part of being visionary is that old thing of saying, oh, you don't have the answers though, you know. What if we don't vote for Labour, then what? If we stop going to our 9-to-5 job, which is really dull and soul-sucking, then what do we do? And I think so the value of thinking radically is saying, well, we know what we have now sucks. Like, we know that it's not working, so let's just go somewhere other than here. And so that then becomes tied up with means and ends, because when we say our end is somewhere better, our end is somewhere where we have social justice, where our ecosystems have their integrity, you know, then that's a vision, but how do we get there when all we have is not this? And I think that's where it's really important to be thinking, like, how do we live radically? How, if we are concerned with a society without oppression, then can we not be bullying people into taking our side? And that's at lots of levels. It's I guess it's like Sue talked about, saying like people are trying to do good things, and if we've got a problem with it, how can we kind of affirm that and say, cool, it's a step, we're getting there, but you need to think about these issues too if you actually want to be radical, because the other thing with radicalism, I think it's relative, because people have very different perspectives of what the status quo is, what is okay, what we can accept. So keep pushing people and saying, yeah, look into this deeper, keep thinking and engaging with that. And then the say also radical learns by doing. So radical is a proud amateur because, like, as I say, if we have a vision of just something else, then the best we can do is go out and get active and try to get kind of make it up as we go on, but with the best intentions. With the I'll get into this a bit more, but when I get into the everyday. But I guess it's that constant reflection that, okay, I tried something because I know we need something different from this. How did it work? Maybe when I thought I had my means and ends, it didn't work out so well. Like, or maybe it did. We'll keep doing that. Like when we were, you know, I guess the blockade is going to be my general reference point probably. But so calling that was like, we think we need a radical option for people to take action on the TPPA. We'll call that. But there's this really scary possibility that there's going to be a huge riot and we'll destroy the movement. Well, that was something I was scared about. But the sense was that we need something, another option for taking action. And so I think what we can then reflect on is say, okay, well, we had thousands of people come out and join us in peaceful protests and shut down Auckland, and I think that has been quite a significant point in the TPPA movement and in generally kind of New Zealand protest history. But if it hadn't worked, how we could still say, well, we thought that was needed, what can we do next? Which may bring the movement back together, something like that. So where do we find the radical in everyday life? Like, where's it hiding? Is it a thing we need to find radical in everyday life? I'd say it's in the space between where people know the facts of what's wrong in the world, so where we have all these stats and understanding, also personal felt things, which like, something sucks. I saw this great little thing on Facebook. You don't hate Mondays, you hate capitalism. Like, there's this sense of so there's this knowing and hearing, it's all these things I don't know what to do with it. So I think the radical is the potential in there when people say, I'm living a good life, I'm trying to be a good person, but yet the world is still in these dire straits and still things don't feel good, even though I'm trying to live well. So if we want to draw more people into radical action and radical movements, I think we need to find a way of bridging that space between people saying, I'm trying to live well. It's a good question, by the looks of it. I'm trying to live well, and the fact that there's a lot which is changing the world. And so if we can finding that radical is trying to answer the question of, so who's responsible for the mess we're in? The kind of neoliberal capitalist answer says, well, we are because we're not buying enough stuff in the green economy. Versus this, if we're towards the radical, we say, well, it's systemic, and that, sure, we're part of the system, but, you know, there's a draw to solidarity with that, because if we're just wanting a system, and we can see that the systemic thing is a problem, not just us, because we're trying to live good lives, like, I think that's part of it, is remembering that people generally are trying to do well by their family, you're trying to have a good livelihood, trying to have creative outputs. And so the kind of polarity between that, or the disjunct, that's what I think has potential to make people go like, shit, yeah, actually something needs to change because this just isn't good. So we need radicalism in everyday life, so that every day is the substance of our lives. This is you know, trying to make sure we're fed and sheltered, our loved ones are, and I think, because when we talk about systemic change, it can be quite hard to find where do I get into this. There's so much to do, but in our daily lives, we're always in contact with the system, as it were. So if we can find the ways which the kind of capitalism or the oppression is operating, which touches our lives, or if not us directly because we have huge privilege, maybe our communities or things we move within, that's a route into seeing that there's a chance for radical action or a need for it. So, like Steve kind of talked about values, I'd say that every day, because it's in our general attempt to live good lives, it becomes about the values that we're trying to live by. So if we want to appeal to people to take radical action, it's saying like, hey, it's actually, in the world as it is, if you can really stand up and say, no, actually, I think that it's important to like care for your community. I think that like love is what drives me, not trying to get a buck. Like if we can talk to that, then again, I think there's this potential that people start seeing that we need to take some radical action to change things. And the everyday source of wellness is relative to politics, because whether it is, I'm going to say it's about whether it is consumer choices or about civil disobedience. Like there's always these opportunities to do something, and because we're trying to find ways into people getting engaged, or I think that's important to get more people taking action, then like the first thing that people can pick up on is political act as a starting point. So if people think that recycling is revolutionary to start with, then I think the thing to say is like, great, yeah, that's needed, and now the next thing we do is, like if you've got that desire to save the planet, then we need to keep talking. So this is my kind of theory that if we state that we need radical change and actually trust that people will believe that, like we don't need to shy away from it and say, let's just vote for Labour. We can say, remember, because you love these things and these things are what you live in your daily life, we can and we need to change the system. So briefly now in practice, I'm just going to talk about the blockade. So this Real Choice was a great group which I've been involved in this year. I guess the thing with radicalism is when we say we need to change the status quo, it comes down to, it's about, there's this thing of starting things or stopping things. If we need to change, we need to stop what's happening, we need to start something new, and that is exactly what direct action is about, which is what we've done with Real Choice. So I was part of a group who decided we need to call this blockade about 3 weeks ago. And I think we were trying, I was certainly trying to speak to the need for radical action in people's daily life, how we messaged around it, which was to say, we want a TPPA-free zone. We talked about the fact that TPPA undermines our community, our democracy, our sovereignty, the daily things that, well, do we date anything about democracy and sovereignty? It's a question, but I think it's about like our self-determination, our intention to keep living well for things. So we try to get that messaging in, and at the same time say if we don't do something on this, then we have to do something radical. We've got an opportunity. So we called the blockade. It was hugely successful. And the part as well which we tried to foster and which came again was this means and ends thing, was that people came along and there was a bit of a carnival atmosphere. There were people playing music, babies eating sweet corn in the middle of the street, there were clowns running around, etc. So and a lot of people came out who had never been on an action before, and then they were there like blocking the motorway. So I think that's this thing, like that if we actually say we can take radical action, then it happens. Limitation is relative, can get us into the excitement of confrontation and lose forget what we're trying to do, and talking about the everyday could get us into like the individualistic